You'll see a pop-up here in just a second asking you to accept the notice that this webinar is being recorded. Sandag records the working group meetings and then we post them to the Conformity page on sandag.org. So we have that for transparency and for records as well. So I'd like to welcome everybody to today's San Diego Region Conformity Working Group meeting, November 3rd. And we'll kick it off as we have for the last few meetings with our slide on our commitment to equity. So this commitment to equity includes the development of an equity action plan, which is currently under development. And this statement, along with Sandag's vision and mission statements, can be found on the second page of today's agenda. Pause here and promote a few other arrivals to panelists. Okay. So moving to item number 1, as we go into welcome and introductions, I will go through the list of panelists and read off who's in attendance tonight or today and their agency or their association as I work through them. So I'll pause at the end and see who I may have missed as well. So from US EPA, we have John Kelly. From Federal Transit Administration, we have Rusty Weissman. From Federal Highway Administration, we have Joseph Vaughn. From Sandag, we have myself, Sam Sanford, America Aceves, Richard Radcliffe, and Sue Alpert. From San Diego Air Pollution Control District, we have Nick Cormier. From California Air Resources Board, we have Nesamani Kalandiur and Austin Hicks and Stephanie Parent. And from Caltrans headquarters, we have Erika Espinosa Raiza and Ami Mohai. I'm glancing through my list to see who else has joined. Oh, from CARB, we also have Kevin Henderwan. And from Sandag, we have Phil Trom. There's also a call-in number ending in 5968. If you'd like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself, I'd appreciate that. As there might be a challenge there with Zoom, since I cannot promote the phone for them to unmute. And then also we have Michelle. Michelle,
yeah, Blake. Yeah, sorry, Michelle Blake from Caltrans.
Welcome, Michelle. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So promote everyone else here to panelists as well. I also see Lexi Ariano from Caltrans has joined us. So I think I caught everyone, but I always like to pause and see if there's anybody that I missed. Oh, Abjit Baghi, yeah, from Caltrans. Yeah, sorry.
No problem. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning. Anyone else? All right, let's move on to item number 2, which is just the review of our public comments, communications, and member comments. And I think we have a few today. I want to see if Austin would like to lead us out from CARB on one of the announcements for today.
Sure, yeah, I'd be glad to. Hi, everybody. I'm Austin Hicks. I'm an air pollution specialist at the California Air Resources Board in the South Coast Air Quality Planning section. I'm the lead staff on the 2022 State SIP strategy. And today I was going to give a brief update on the 2020 mobile source strategy and also as we transition to the 2022 State SIP strategy. So back on September 28th, 2021, CARB published the proposed version of the 2020 mobile source strategy. And then and that was in anticipation of the board hearing on October 28th. CARB staff presented the 2022 mobile source strategy, and the board adopted that proposed mobile source strategy. Included in that presentation is as we transition is a transition. So as we finalize the mobile source strategy, we are now transitioning to the 2022 state SIP strategy. And so we have had that initiated earlier this summer, and we we're in full steam ahead. 2 weeks ago, we had our second workshop on the 2022 state SIP strategy, where we discussed and released draft measures, and pivoting from there, moving forward, we plan on early next year releasing a draft version of the 2022 state SIP strategy, and also participating and presenting to our board early next year on that draft version. And then we're also planning on having a third workshop around that time as well. It's still to be determined exactly when that's going to happen. We're trying to fill out when it's most appropriate and most efficient. But then come summer of 2022, we will publish a proposed version of the state SIP strategy in anticipation of a board presentation also in the summer of next year for adoption. Yeah, that's about all I have in terms of the mobile source strategy and the state SIP strategy.
Thank you, Austin. And what was the anticipated date for the draft state SIP strategy release?
Yeah, so right now we're planning in January releasing the draft version, and then that's anticipation of a March board hearing of next year. We have SEQA requirements that we're following, and so that's going to be it's going to follow our 45-day comment period. So we're releasing in January in anticipation of a March meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And for the benefit of the group, these two documents that Austin is referring to help inform, future SIP attainment plans and other plans, kind of laying the groundwork for what strategies, other tools that are in CARB's wheelhouse can be used to help develop those plans.
Yeah, thanks, Sam.
Thank you very much. All right, another announcement. I believe we have Erica on the line from
Yes.
Caltrans.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to announce that we will be hosting the statewide conformity working group meeting on November 15th from 12:30 to 3:30. It will be via teleconference. The agenda has been distributed through our listserv, but we will also be posting it on our website in the next few days. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you.
Thank you, Erica. Any questions on this year's statewide CWG meeting for Erica? All right. Any other announcements for the benefit of the group?
Hey, Sam, I had one just to follow up on my announcement from last meeting, I think, where we had APCD conducted a virtual workshop back on October 6th for a regional air quality strategy. Just want to provide a quick update for the group. I know we had a few attendees from this group attend, so I do appreciate you taking the time to attend that for those of you who did. We had about 40 people attend, and we primarily gave an overview for where the document is what revisions we're probably going to make in the document. Again, this is for our state ozone plan, not our federal ozone plan, which we just completed in 2020. We received a lot of good feedback, at the meeting. It seemed like it was, positively received from the people in the audience. And so we are looking to go ahead and get that drafted up by mid next year is kind of our target to get that draft out on the street along with some workshops, and then to get it to our board by the end of next year. So just wanted to give people an update on that. If you're interested and couldn't make the meeting, we do have recordings up available on APCD's YouTube page to take a look at your convenience. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Good updates. Any others for the benefit of the group? All right, not seeing or hearing anything. We'll go ahead and advance on to item number 3 of today's agenda, which is the meeting minutes. And for this group, we just ask that you review the meeting minutes, and if you have any comments or corrections, to share those, and we'll reflect those in the final version. Does anybody have any comments or corrections on the meeting minutes from our last meeting? These would be for the October meeting. Okay, not hearing any. Move on to the report section of today's agenda. Reports 4 through 7, and by and large, these are the recurring items that we've had for the last several months as we work through some of the major conformity items for the region and the state. So number 4 is San Diego Forward, the 2021 regional plan, and the 2021 Regional Transportation Improvement Program, or RTIP, amendment number 6. So the comment period for the revised draft air quality analysis for San Diego Forward closed on October 25th of this year. No comments were received from this group. On October 21st, I sent out to the CWG a copy of the RTIP amendment number 6. Now that is the exact same documentation as in the plan. It's the same everything, same model, same network, same projects. There's no difference between the two. In the regional plan transportation conformity, we had references to the RTIP as amended, was kind of the term we were using at that point because we did not know what number the amendment would be for the RTIP. But now we know that it is RTIP amendment number 6. So those texts have been updated to reflect that, and that's what this item is about, to just show that this plan and the documentation includes RTIP amendment number 6 as those move forward. The proposed final plan will be released later this month, and then the board of directors for SANDAG will be asked to adopt the regional plan and the 2021 RTIP amendment number 6 and their air quality conformity determination at their December 10th meeting. So I'll pause here and ask if there are any questions on item number 4. All right, today might be a very quick agenda, but I figure there's some good highlights, especially in those announcements, that are good for us all to know. Moving on to agenda item number 5 in the report section, we have the 2020 state implementation plan update. And for this, I'll turn it over to Nick for updates on this document.
Sure, thanks, Sam. First, I'll just kind of give a quick update on I think this was shared at the last meeting, but I did just want to share again that the transportation conformity budgets that were included in the 2020 ozone plan were found adequate by EPA. That announcement came out, I believe, in early October, but the effective date of those changes was October 19th. And so with that announcement, the budgets that were in the 2020 ozone SIP were found adequate for transportation conformity purposes for both the 2008 and 2015 ozone standards. If you're interested, the Federal Register reference, I think, is included in the agenda, but it's 86 FR 54692. And it included budgets for a number of years between 2020 through 2032 for both standards. On the attainment plan side, I don't have much of an update to share, although the plan is with EPA right now and is currently undergoing their review. I think what we're tentatively hearing is that we might see, you know, potentially a proposed action maybe in spring or summer of next year, then followed by a final action, hopefully around September timeframe, to take action on that plan. And that could be, again, it could be an approval, partial disapproval. There's a number of different actions that they could take with that. But we're hoping for a full approval, but you never know how things will go. So I'm happy to share, happy to turn it over to John if he has any other comments or things to share. But that's all I have on this item for now.
Thank you, Nick. I don't have anything to add. Thanks. That was a great update.
Happy to take any questions if there are any.
Thank you, Nick and John. Any questions on the 2020 SIP? All right, thank you for the update, Nick.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along to item number 6, which is the emission factors or MFAC 2021 update. And for this one, I'm going to turn it over to Nesamani Kalandiur from CARB to provide any updates we may have on the status of this model.
Sure. Good morning, Sam and everyone. I don't have any significant update, but as I mentioned, or as we mentioned in the previous meetings, we submitted the MFAC 2021 model as well as MFAC 2017 with adjustment factors that reflects the regulations that we adopted since MFAC 2027 was released. Like example, advanced clean tracks, low NOx standards. So those are, for those regulations, we developed the adjustment factor and we included. Some MPOs may use MFAC 2017 model for demonstrating their budgets in the near future. So that's why we submitted. But US EPA staff reviewing those documentation, both MFAC 2021 model as well as the adjustment factors. We had a meeting with them a couple of weeks ago. They had some technical questions, so we responded, we provided additional information or explained the questions itself. And then our legal team is also working with US EPA's legal team to provide all the waiver requirements to meet all the requirements of approving the MFAC model itself. So that's an ongoing process as we make good progress. And if you know a little more specific on the timeline when US EPA will be able to release, approve the model itself, I'll be happy to report back here. That's the quick summary here. I'll be happy to take any questions. Yeah, Nick, please.
Yeah, thanks, Mani. Thanks for the update. Just maybe a clarifying question for me. In terms of Austin's update with the forward, you know, the forthcoming state SIP strategy update, I think I understand that the MFAC 2021 will likely not include, it's not going to include the future thinking measures, correct, that are going to be proposed in this new SIP strategy. Is that right?
That's right. It's not going to be reflected. Maybe in the future MFAC model next version, whatever 2020X, that version will be reflecting once our board adopts all these measures. Right now, it's a proposed measures. That's what Austin was discussing as part of a state SIP measures. Once our board adopts, and then it'll be developed, it'll be included as part of a SIP, and then the regulations will be developed for those strategies. So after that process is done, then it'll be reflected in the MFAC model. Austin, do you want to add anything more? I know I'm just summarizing in a very high level.
Yeah, thanks, Mani. I guess for the group, this is my first time on the group, so I'm not 100% sure as, everyone's like knowledge about the state SIP strategy, but, it's a statewide effort on addressing non-attainment areas. Specifically, this state SIP strategy is addressing the 70 ppb, the 2015 8-hour ozone standard. And so the state has authority or jurisdiction over mobile sources specifically. And so our strategies are very mobile source centric. And so we're looking on how to progress on achieving additional emission reductions so these non-attainment areas can achieve attainment. A lot of this is driven by our two extreme ozone non-attainment areas, the South Coast and the San Joaquin Valley. They need the most emission reductions. due to the severity of their air quality. And so alluding to what Monty is saying is that we, at our previous 2 weeks ago, we had a workshop where we discussed our draft measures. So these are potential measures that we will be that we're potentially going to be pursuing as regulations in helping these areas and the rest of the state achieve better air quality. And so as Monty alluded to, is that this is like the initial process of where we identify, we discuss these potential measures, and then we're actually, and these measures aren't even done yet. Like we're still accepting concepts or ideas on potential new measures because so much emission reductions are necessary for the South Coast and the San Joaquin Valley to achieve the 70 ppb standard. So as Monty's alluded to, is that these are very preliminary, and so we commit to these regulations, and then over time we develop these regulations because we make a commitment to them, and they become federally enforceable once we submit them to EPA. So we're basically on the hook to develop those regulations, and then once they actually become regulations, and then it kind of becomes a timing issue of whenever MFAC 2020X comes out, if those regulations are on what I call on the books or been adopted, they can be incorporated. It's kind of like a timely manner and trying to how we incorporate them. And that's where, as everyone knows in the modeling world, you have to cut off at some point, so. Anyway, that's a very long response, but just giving more background on the states of strategy. I realized I didn't do that initially.
No, thank you for that. That's along the lines of what I thought was happening, but it's always a good reminder, I think, just to refresh on how that all works. So I appreciate the feedback from both of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for the question, Nick.
Sure. I know Stephanie posted the link to the State Six Strategy Workshop recording. So if anybody is interested, please look at it. And if you have more specific question, I'm sure Stephanie and Austin will be happy to answer more.
Thank you, Nesamani. Any other questions regarding MFAC 2021 update? Because Nesamani, as a follow-up to Nick's question, I guess a secondary tool that I believe has been used in the past, but I wanted to ask you about it, would be adjustment factors. So if a measure, not necessarily from the current documents, but if something else came to actual rule and was put in place quicker than the next MFAC update, and that's another strategy that can be used, is, if I'm thinking of this correctly, is adjustment factors that could be applied to kind of post-processing of the model? So yeah, just to answer that question, Sam, I think it's not a simple, straightforward, just as soon as our board adopts, it becomes as an adjustment factor. We need to we have to develop the adjustment factor. We need to justify why we need those adjustment factor to US EPA. So it has to go through the whole formal approval process. US EPA we have to come up with the technical methodology, and then they will review it and approve it. Once it's done, it goes through their process. After that, we should be able to, or anybody should be able to use it for, especially from a conformity perspective, they should be able to use it. So we need to look at it, how much reductions we are getting and how much critical for any region to use that adjustment or take credit for those regulations to demonstrate their conformity. So all those factors will be considered. Surely we'll have a more conversation. I don't want to just say it's a simple approval process. As soon as our board adopts, it becomes automatically as an adjustment factor. I'm just trying to distinguish that process. That's all. Yeah. That was good. Thank you for the clarification. There's a lot in that, a lot of steps, and
yeah,
significant amount of time and effort required.
Exactly. You're right. You're right.
Well, thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, everyone. Yeah.
All right, moving on to the last of our reports, item number 7. And again, this is one of the recurring items that has been on the agenda for the last few months, but this is the reconsideration of the Safe Vehicle Rules Part 1. And for this, both the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, NHTSA, and US EPA both published in the Federal Register notices about reconsidering aspects of this rule. For the NHTSA, it was on the CAFE standard, And on the US EPA side, it was the withdrawal of the waiver of preemption for California's Advanced Clean Car Program. I have looked at the registers to see some of the comments. There are a lot of comments, and I just perused through a random set of them on the NHTSA document particularly. Most seem to be in favor of that notice. I do not have any additional information on these items, but I wanted to open up to the group if anybody else has heard where these are in the federal process, if there's a movement on either of these from these two agencies. Well, not hearing anything. I'm guessing the group hasn't heard anything either, but we'll keep tracking this one to see what comes of So that wraps us up for the report items on today's agenda. As far as upcoming meetings, we have our next meeting scheduled for December 1st of this year, same time, same place, continue to be held virtually at this time. And that wraps us for today. I want to thank everybody for your time and attendance and insights. And if you have any ideas that you'd like to bring forward to the CWG, please feel free to reach out to me. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Yeah, thanks,
Sam.
everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Thanks, Sam.